All right, hey everybody, welcome to week 4 of Writing the Good Life. This is the third time we've run this 7-week workshop on Writing the Good Life. I want to give general viewers kind of a peek behind the scenes of the philosophy of what we're doing inside the Wisdom Workshop in the Writing a Good Life 7-week course. I also want to help the people that are in the course kind of contextualize and really get a sense of why this middle week on designing really kind of hits at the key pragmatic theory of belief and action that I use to create the entire existence of the Wisdom Workshop in the depths of my existential angst from the pandemic last year. So if you enjoy this content, before we go any further, please do subscribe, like, share it with anybody that might benefit. Or if this speaks to you and you really want to take a step towards designing a more joyful, happy, well-lived life, and you're at a transition point, or you just really want to make something more of your experience and of the opportunities that you have, do check out wisdomworkshop.io and see if this is a good fit for you. There's a way to reach out to me if you want to chat about something that you're working on. Without further ado, let's talk about how and what we're doing in week 4 of the Wisdom Workshop, which is around designing a life and designing a life that makes sense. We're going to talk about the life in general, or a life as a whole, but also this connects to what we do on a day-to-day basis, and it also connects to how we might do particular activities. So there's different kinds of ways we could approach dinner, for example, something we're going to be doing based on our mindset, attitudes, and beliefs towards it. There's also a way we could approach our day based on our mindset, attitudes, and experiments that we run towards it, as well as a year, a week, 3 to 5 years of potential, an odyssey that we're taking if we are in our early 20s, or if we're in a stage where we might go explore the world in a more engaged way. That's kind of what we're talking about here, which is really, for me, the whole entire purpose of education is to learn how to do this more effectively so that we can be in charge of the types of learning that we want to have, which is what the Wisdom Workshop is. So this week on designing, we're really kind of recentering on this big question in the course that's around the process of learning. And it's this procedural question: how does the process of making good art connect to living a good life? So when we talk about writing a good life, writing is kind of a metaphor of creation, of taking something that wasn't and then making it something that is. So this could also be sculpture or painting or song production or knitting, or anything that you're creating something from nothing. When we look at what that really is, when we are writing, weaving together a narrative with characters and the stories that we're telling ourselves about what we're doing, I think writing is an incredibly powerful metaphor to begin to think about what it actually means to live a good life, and how do we do that. In previous videos, I talk about a good life being about our purpose, our sense of purpose, our projects, or active engagement in projects that are worthwhile, more specifically from American philosopher Susan Wolf, and also the people that we're connected with. As the Harvard longitudinal study on human flourishing says, that basically our number one marker of whether or not we're happy is the quality and duration of our relationships with other human beings. So we're talking about living a good life, we're talking about our sense of purpose, we're talking about our sense of projects, our active engagement with projects, and we're talking about the people that we engage with and how those people or teams of people influence and help us feel a greater sense of purpose and enrich our projects. And this is all a cyclical thing. Okay, so when we talk about how does the process of making good art connect to a process of living a good life, we looked so far in this 7-week course at different functions or uses of the word writing. I'm really meaning this not just in writing as we think about it, but in composing or constructing a kind of way to approach our experience and our world. So writing is a metaphor here. There is a process here, again, of brainstorming, collecting, outlining, drafting, revising, submitting, and then doing that process over again. So this is an iteration, which just means trying something which is really interesting, which we're going to get back to in the designing our experience. So we should say that this is on experience. Okay, so week 1 we looked at, just to review, we looked at writing as a form of presence. So free writing, a non-judgmental, non-reactive awareness where we just are aware of what's happening and we're mindfully present without judging good or bad to the quality of our presence and our attention right here, right now. So this is a kind of mindful awareness of the present and how free writing can be a really powerful tool to establish that presence. That connects to using writing as a tool for coherence between what we believe, who we are, and what we do. Actually, we should switch that order. Who we are, what we believe, and what we do, our actions. So we're looking at our coherence also in our work life, our relationship life, our play, our sense of personal play, our inner child's life, and our health. So how well of sleep, eat, rest we're getting in terms of the coherence, and we can check to see how we're doing based on our compass for work view and life view and our dashboard. We take our sense of presence and our inquiry into our coherence and our integrity in our existence, our wholeness, our health, into note-taking so that we can actually start finding our way and wayfinding with synchronicity and serendipity. So we might keep an aha journal and note the things in our research journal and be like, take one of these research journals and be like, I'm going to make a note of this. We might also note things that we're grateful for, to pay attention to more things that we are grateful for. Other kinds of note-taking, the things that pop out of our experience, the extraordinary experiences that pop out that seem to mean something to us. We can make note of those and turn our life into a kind of research project. This leads us to what we're doing this week, which is the heart of the Wisdom Workshop, which is around designing experiences that can then teach us more about our experiences and do this process of seeing how our beliefs can influence our actions, influence our beliefs, and influence our experiences. What's so cool about this is that the word experience, the Latin root is expirere. I'm not sure how to say it in Latin, which is the same root as experiment. So when we talk about experience, we're designing our experience, we're also designing experiments on how we can live or how we can try different activities or see things in a different way. There's a sense of philosophy being a pragmatic endeavor where we're not spectators of our lives. We are active painters of the painting of our lives. We are active composers of the composition of our lives. We are active players on the stage of our lives. Even as it starts to rain and everything goes sideways, we're still there on the field participating. That's the sense of designing that we want to consider, and this connects to the pragmatic theory of truth, that truth is what works, and in order to find out what works, we need to prototype and have different kinds of designs that we can then test. So when we're planning, we expect our plans to fail. In fact, we kind of hope that they will fail, which really takes the pressure off, because now this video doesn't need to work for, it doesn't need to get a bunch of views, for example, although it would be nice if you subscribe if you're enjoying this and give the video a thumbs up. I'm really using this video as a kind of prototype to find out what's working for me, how it feels to create this kind of content as something I might be able to do over and over again for the quality of my experience, and hopefully here, in a sense of spontaneous service and joy, do something that's helpful for you. And I could ask, maybe I'll try asking a question, like at the end of the video, what of this was helpful to you? What would you like to see more of? Would you like to get deeper into the pragmatic theory of truth and look at Pierce, Dewey, and James? Think about how this connects to religious beliefs. Think about how this connects to education. Think about how this connects to whatever it is that you're doing, crochet, videos, YouTubing. I'm not exactly sure. The point is that when we start thinking about prototyping to find out, we can explore our experience as a kind of design and begin to think about what kinds of ways might I design my experience moving forward. To do that in the Designing Your Life, so we can look at the Design Your Life structure and framework set up by Stanford professors Bill Burnett and Dave Evans in their Stanford D School, the design school there, and think about how the user-centered design connects to life design. We can think, and what an exercise you might do, or what we'll do this week, is to think about three potential futures you might have in the next 5 years. Future one in the next 5 years would be the future that you're pretty much already on. That would be like your default future. You can write that out and map that out, the basic plan of what it will look like if you go with the flow of the life that you already lead. Where will you be in the next 5 years? A default future. The second one might be, what's a radically different future if that future did not exist? So for some reason, let's say I'm a college instructor and college instruction goes away. What would I do then? What kinds of things might I do to make money in that regard if the default future was gone? So what kinds of things might I do if what I think I'm going to do is completely off the table? You could plan that kind of thing out. Then the third question is, what would I do if money were the third potential future, what would I do if money were not an issue at all? Would I get into interpretive dance or watercolor or music production? Like, what would I do if money were not an issue? So one, you map out these different big 5-year futures. What would I do is the default future. What would I do if that default future was not there anymore? And then what would I do if money or status or reputation were not a thing and I could just do whatever my inner child or my heart desired? If you get these big 5-year plans, this is a kind of odyssey, or you could chart out where you could be going. I can reverse engineer those big 5-year plans into daily and weekly experiences or experiments that might get me there. So instead of thinking about this giant thing, I can take that big design into a small daily design and think, what small step might I take from a day-to-day basis that's going to help get me towards this big goal that maybe I'm actually not sure I really want to do. What kinds of conversations might I have with people that are already doing that? What kinds of experiences might I generate in order to learn more about whether or not I want to do that? How can I use my own sense of presence, my own notion of who I am, what I believe, what I'm doing, and my ability to take notes about the things that stand out to me to design potential futures for myself and then begin testing them out? That's the entire vision and mission of writing the good life in some regard, is to do this in an aesthetic, so a beautiful, artistic, and also pragmatic and practical way, which is the way I believe the future of education is. So in the coming weeks, we're going to take this designing template and then use it to see how we can connect more deeply with ourselves and with others, how we can collaborate with different people and start generating a team that's going to help us go on our odyssey or go on our quest, and then reflect on what about the process we've done well or could do better the next time, since again, this is a process of iterating and we're continually living our lives over and over and over and over and over again, which if you're doing it right is a wonderful thing rather than a terrible one. So again, thank you. I hope this helps. Curious to see what reactions you have, if any, and that this big philosophical framework around pragmatism is valuable. I'll point you in the direction of some other videos we did on that last year. It is probably one of my favorite philosophies or philosophical traditions in the modern world. Okay, so thank you all very much. Let me know if you have questions. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.